So hey there everyone, thanks for stopping by the channel. My name is Rich, and today I'm going to be talking about the DJI Mavic 2 Pro and trying out some 3D modeling and some 2D mapping. And I haven't seen too much about this out in the YouTube universe. There's been a couple of folks who've posted some short ones, but I wanted to do a little more. Now, this is not a tutorial, okay? So this is, I'm going to be talking about the software that I'm using, and I'm going to talk about the initial results and, what it's looking like to me. Off the bat, I'm going to say that I don't think the Mavic 2 Pro is going to be the best for high accuracy mapping and modeling. So if you're looking for really detailed measurements and things, just like my Mavic Pro, I don't think that this is top of the line here, but you can generate some pretty interesting results, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So, and also some cost-effective results, because when you start getting into the 3D modeling and mapping, this stuff can get really expensive really fast. So I've been playing around with all of this for over a year. I've done a couple of interesting maps for clients and sold those maps. And I've used multiple tools. So what we're using today, we're using the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. In the case of this video, I used Pix4D Capture on my iPhone. All right, so Pix4D Capture is what I use to capture it. Usually I use Map Pilot, and I'm going to talk a little more about Map Pilot in a few minutes because I had a frustration last week. And I did not use Pix4D to process this model in this map because my free trial expired quite some time ago, and I have paid month to month for a couple of months, but don't see the reason to pay every month if I'm not working on these types of projects. So the Pix4D 3D assembly was not used. Instead, I used Photoscan and Drone Deploy, and I'm going to show you both of those. So right now on the screen, so I'm going to stop looking at this camera and I'm going to look at the screen real quick. So last week, I wanted to model the upper loop of Pointer Rocks RV Park. They're one of our web clients, and we do other work for them as well. So I wanted to have a little fun testing out the Mavic 2 Pro and testing it out with this particular flight. So we did the upper loop, and the upper loop contains some pretty interesting rock formations. So you're looking at a single still image here that was the start of the 3D modeling. And so I'm just going to take you through a couple of the frames. So as you can see, there's a lot of overlap. I wanted as much detail as possible. You can also see there's some very interesting rock formations here, and where the RVs are, they're butted up against these really interesting cliffs. So this makes for a very interesting 3D model. So in total, this flew on one battery of the Mavic 2 Pro. It was just about 17 minutes long to capture 286 still images. And so you're seeing just part of all of the images, and we actually see an RV pulling out here. So that probably messed with the model a little bit, but right here we've got this RV going down the hill. And if we continue on, we'll just see more and more of the rocks. So there's some of those rock formations right there. So once I captured all these images, I offloaded them to my Mac, and then I opened up a program called Photoscan. So Photoscan allows me to do these models. Now, there are two different versions of Photoscan. There's the Photoscan Pro, which is a lot of money, just plain and simple. It's costly, so if you're not doing a lot of this, you probably don't want to spend on a multi-$1,000 license. Same thing with Pix4D. So I went with the standard edition of Photoscan since it was the most reasonable sub $200 price, and it allows me to do 3D models. It doesn't allow me to do a lot of the features that are in the Pro version, and it doesn't allow me to carry over my GPS points. So for doing measurements or anything, this is not going to be of high value. But if you just want to present an interesting 3D model and maybe embed it on your client's website to show off their location, you can. And when we are in Photoscan, you can see, here we go. We're looking at the 3D features of the model right now. So I actually imported all of the images. So the workflow to this, like I said, it's not a tutorial, but I'll give you a quick rundown. Your workflow, the first thing that you have to do is get all of your images in so you can actually add images up here in the workspace. Once you've got the images added in, you go to your workflow, and number one, you align the photos. So you line all these photo edges up, and you can do it, you can do high-res versions, low-res versions, depends on how much time you want to spend. So once you've aligned the photos, you could build a dense cloud. I didn't do that here. Instead, I went straight to building the mesh and building the texture because I'm not doing a super high-end model here. This is just a test model. So one of the things that I do like about Photoscan is that you can quickly get to a result that doesn't take you days if you do lower end work. So if you skip building the dense cloud, when you build the mesh, you don't build the high-end mesh. Same thing when you build the texture, you go with the defaults. And this model was all set for me in under an hour, which was very impressive to me because other services you can upload, and I'll show you drone deploys results in a minute. So the results on this are decent. They're not fantastic. We can start, as we start zooming in, we can see the mushiness that's going on in some of the buildings or in some of the RVs because I didn't go for the high-end modeling right now. So I could have my computer redo this and spend a lot more time, but I don't want to. So, so there you go. So we've got this 3D model, and it's interesting to take a look at and kind of toy around with. And it might be interesting to your clients just to see the lay of the land. You can also see where water runoff is going to happen here very easily. So all of this is achieved without having to spend hours or even a day processing this model. So you got a simple, straightforward model. Now, once you've gone through the workflow of aligning the photos, building your mesh, and building your texture, what can you do? Well, you can actually go over and you can export this. So you can export your points, you can export the model itself. So you can export the model in a variety of formats, and several formats you can actually use SketchFab on. So you can make a free account at SketchFab so that you can share these models online with other people and embed these models, which is great. The one other thing I like is the fact that I can export the texture so that I can make a 2D map. So I exported this texture right here and made a two-dimensional map of this upper loop area, which could be really beneficial to potential customers coming to an RV campground to see the sites as you've never seen the sites before. So they know on this side right here that they're going to be butted right up against the rocks. Same for the RVs that are right in here. So that's pretty cool. So overall, I think for simple models that you're not looking to take high-end measurements or anything from, the Mavic 2 Pro's done a good job, and my original Mavic Pro did a decent job with this too, and allowed me to make these 2D maps and these simple 3D models. Now, I did do an export from Photoscan, and I loaded that export into, let's see here, there's all those photos. Here we go. Here's my SketchFab account. So I did, in fact, upload that 3D model to SketchFab, and it's also a model that I can embed. So I'm just waiting for this to pull in now, and it's going to take a moment to actually clean things up. There we go. It's starting to look a little better, and still not at the best resolution, but I can go down here and make sure textures are on high def. So I'm going to go back. And so here we go. This is actually a shareable model at this point, which is very impressive. So just taking from my Photoscan model and doing an export, and I did this export to a .ply. So that was the file format I used. And we can actually move along here. We can zoom in on this further. And I've got to say, this does not look terrible for a quick little demo model to give folks a feel of the layout of this park. So I could fine tune this a little more. One of the things that I could do that would be very helpful in this case is go back to Photoscan and do the higher resolution modeling, build that dense point cloud that I had skipped, and build a higher end mesh and texture. And that would take probably hours. I just wanted to do a fast test to see what I was thinking about all this. So in addition to using Photoscan, which once again cost under $200, and I've got the license permanently, I also used one of my free uploads to Drone Deploy. So here we are in Drone Deploy, and so I uploaded these images, and a couple hours later I got an email from Drone Deploy that the model was good to go. This model is looking pretty good as well, and not huge differences from the Photoscan model. I'm going to go ahead and click on 3D model. So I'm doing a free account with Drone Deploy, and there's only so many things I can upload per month. Right now everything's looking a little terrible, and it's going to get a little bit better here as it's in standard def right now, and we want it to be in high def. So we're going to give that a moment, and we can actually pan around this as well to take a full-on look at this. Once again, I can also embed this model in my website. So using SketchFab's free account, I can embed a model on my website or on a client website, and I can use Drone Deploy as well to share this model as well. So we can take a zoom in here. Like I said, this isn't a perfect model. It could be better. I could have done a little more detailed passes with the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. And I also could have done more processing in Photoscan to get better results. I do like the look of this model just a bit more than I like the Photoscan, but once again, I didn't have Photoscan spend a ton of time here. So we're just zooming around here, and actually I'm going to whip this model around to give you one idea. Let's just take a look in here. These are some tall cliffs in here, as you can see, and so the campers are down below the cliff, so water would be coming down here during a rainstorm, so that just gives you an idea. It gives you a completely different image of an RV park map, doesn't it? Especially a unique RV park map like this particular location. So once again, I used Pix4D's Capture software, which is freely available. I used Photoscan, which cost me under $200 for the standard edition. I also used a free upload with Drone Deploy just to show off the model again. And you can actually export we showed you Photoscan, the fact that I could export, and I can also export the 3D model or an orthomosaic flat 2D model. And that flat 2D model comes out pretty good. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go over and let's open up. Let me see here. So I am just switching views right now. My apologies. And let's do the upper loop, high res. So I cropped this down, and I'm about to bring it onto screen. But this is a nice 2D model that you could actually do a decent print from and post it at the RV park office so that people could get a really good idea of, okay, where's Site 83? Okay, Site 83 is right over here, and that's where I'm going to be parked for the weekend or the week or whatever. But so you can do exports from both Drone Deploy, and you can also do exports from Photoscan. So I could go up here into Photoscan, and I could export that texture layer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and throw this on my desktop, and we're going to give it a name. So YouTube 3D demo. And I'm just going to output this as a JPEG, so this isn't going to be the highest quality thing in the world. And now I'm just going to double click it and drag it over here. So here we go. Here's our 2D export of the texture from Photoscan. And I can actually even zoom in on this. So this is looking pretty good if you just want an overview of a location. So it's very nice to make a quick 2D model / map. And we're going to call these models more than maps, because I'm not a licensed land surveyor, so I can make a nice model of a location, but I don't really want to go diving in and saying, this is a map. While there's GPS accuracy in the higher end rendering software out there, like Pix4D, like Drone Deploy, and like the Photoscan Pro, I'm still not a licensed land surveyor. So while we could take measurements of things, I'm going to leave that to the folks who do that professionally, licensed land surveyors. So overall, I'm going to say that the Mavic 2 Pro can make some really nice basic maps. You could probably do some higher end maps with it as well, but I found with the Mavic and Mavic 2 Pro that on multi-flight, so when I need more than one battery, when I need to do 2 or 3 or 4 batteries to cover a large area, that alignment issues do occur in all of the rendering software. So I've had alignment issues with Drone Deploy. I've had alignment issues with Pix4D, and I've had alignment issues with Photoscan. So I'm thinking that probably the Phantom 4 Pro is going to be the best bet. And now we've heard about the new Phantom that's going to have the RTK built into it, which should be even better. But for making very simple models, for making very simple 2D models / maps, I think you can do a lot, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money if you use something like Photoscan or use some free uploads over on Drone Deploy. Now, before I wrap this up, if you've been over to Arizona Drone, the other YouTube channel that I'm on, you know that I really like Map Pilot. So why didn't I use Map Pilot in this one? What's wrong with me? Why just get Map Pilot, Rich? I tried to set up Map Pilot last week, and I found out what I was doing wrong after the fact. So last year, I picked up Map Pilot from Maps Made Easy, and I picked up the business version. So if you go onto the App Store, if you're an iOS user and you go onto the App Store, you're going to see 2 versions of Map Pilot. You're going to see regular Map Pilot and Map Pilot Business. Now, the icons look exactly the same. So Map Pilot and Map Pilot Business, the icons for the apps look the same. So when I went and looked at the App Store the other day, it showed that I had Map Pilot Business, but I didn't have regular Map Pilot. And I had heard that Map Pilot was now ready for the Mavic 2 Pro. I always get the name wrong. I want to say Mavic Pro 2, right? Everybody wants to say that. Anyways, so I ended up spending another $9.99 and downloading regular Map Pilot, not Map Pilot Business. And then reading around on the internet this past weekend, I found out what was going on wrong. Map Pilot Business does not update as often as Map Pilot does because they want to make sure it's very stable for you, the user. So I had Map Pilot Business loaded on, and the icon looks the same, but they have not added the update into Map Pilot Business for the Mavic 2 Pro. They've only done it on Map Pilot. So regular Map Pilot updates more often. Map Pilot Business does not update as often. So basically, I ended up spending another $10 to get regular Map Pilots. Now I've got both, Map Pilot Business and Map Pilot Regular. Ticked me off a little bit because I just spent an extra $10 that I didn't have to. And I'm wondering when Map Pilot Business is going to have support for the Mavic 2 Pro. I don't know. All right, everyone. So that's a wrap on this. I wanted to show you around really quick, show you that the models are achievable, and maybe you can do some higher resolution work and some more detailed work. But I don't think that the Mavic 2 Pro is going to be your go-to giant model maker. But for doing small things like showing off a map of an RV park, or maybe a new roadway in your area or whatever it might be, I think you can get some nice results and something to share with your clients or just share online through something like SketchFab or Drone Deploy. Now, if you'd like a full tutorial on using the Photoscan Standard Edition, let me know. Drop me a note in the comments and I'll be happy to put one together. We can use this data set, or I could even go out and make a new data set. And I had actually made one more while I was out doing it. I did a small rock orbit, so the rock formations here in the granite dells are pretty amazing. So to do this one, I used Pix4D Capture again. And while using Pix4D Capture, I decided to do an orbit instead of a grid pattern. So some of this looks better than other parts of this. And the reason is very simple. It's because I got higher quality images in part of this and not as great in other parts of this. So zooming in, you can really see the little canyon that's going on here. And I love the fact that with this 3D modeling, you can really show off a location in ways that you've never been able to before. I've photographed these rock formations for years, and quite frankly, I've never been able to show people the depth that is going on in these rock formations, the canyons, the cracks, all the splits. So as you can see right here, there's some problems right in there. So we had a problem with that image capture. Once again, if you'd like a longer tutorial on this, an actual tutorial on this, let me know. So I would say that if you're a Mavic 2 Pro owner, you can have some fun with mapping and modeling. But if you have expectations of putting out the highest grade models possible, you might be thinking of some higher end drones to really achieve that. We can do some simple basic things. And, just showing off a 3D model online of, let's say, an RV park like this, that is enough to wow a client. And they're not so worried about the measurements. They like the unique view of how they can display their property to their guests. So think outside of the box, and maybe there are some opportunities for the Mavic 2 Pro and doing some simple modeling for your client base. All right, everyone, have an awesome rest of the day. I've got to get back to work and do some video work now to finish off this this video for you. Yeah, I can talk today. All right, we'll see you on the next episode.